This last month I've been crushed by anxiety. Crushed by anxiety to the point where I've felt animalistic, fearful, looking for a way out, a way to avoid pain, a way to avoid death, looking for anything I could do to try to hedge my bets for the future. How can I be safe? How can my family be safe? Fear. I have been riddled with fear this last month. And I know a lot of you have too. It's sometimes hard to see when you're in it though, because fear can seem good-natured. Some can even say it's essential, right? It's good to have a healthy amount of fear. And in everything I've ever looked at, nothing can be further from the truth. Fear reduces our state to one that is more animalistic, to one where you're not connected with your intuition. And in this fearful state, you can make rash decisions that don't make sense on the whole, but you're not thinking straight. I wasn't thinking straight. And I got pressed into a situation where, like many of you, you're deciding if you need to go against your morals in order to be a participant in society. And what does it mean to be ostracized, to be separate from everybody else? I can tell you what. The pain you have in your head, the idea of it is far worse than the actuality as long as you can control your mind. And I couldn't control my mind. I was going crazy. The government's locking me in. I can't travel. I don't have the freedom I used to have. Things are different. Things are dark. Things are evil. And I needed to get some clarity. And so I did what I often do. Not often enough, sadly. I went out into the forest with a good friend, swung an axe around, moved my body, changed my state, did something hard, physically hard instead of just mentally challenging. And I took a shitload of psychedelics. And oh my, is that always the right answer or what? I'll put a little caveat there. You need to do these things with respect and in the right setting, and ideally you know what you're doing, but I can promise you that if you're feeling crushing anxiety, confusion, fear, there is a hot knife through butter solution, and it comes in the form of a little mushroom or a little square piece of paper or a cacti or you name it. And these things, these natural entheogens, these plants, these medicines put here on this earth by something magical, something divine, work with our body in perfect ways. It's not always going to be easy, but man, taking, in this case, it was 2.5 tabs of acid out by this campfire, it put things back into perspective. And while I was looking externally for salvation, the truth is that it's always within you. It's always inside. And so I went inside and I saw, and it was as if everything was speaking to me, as if there was data in everything, code dropping down, and my understanding became multisensory. And I went from just the crazy man in his head to in my heart. And in that process, I became reacquainted with the truth. And that is that no matter what you think of it, this is a divine masterpiece. It is a hot mess of a slow motion perfection, this whole thing. And to hear that can feel like an insult if you've suffered, or if someone you know has suffered, and grief is real and pain is real. And I'm not trying to reduce that. That's not even quite right. I am trying to reduce that. I'm empathetic to the pain you're feeling. But you shouldn't need me to empathize for your pain. This should be a mission of soul searching, of strengthening. This should be a time in all of its craziness of being willing to do the unknown or the fearful thing to break through the unknown or break through the fear. And going out there and doing this LSD, we did such a dose that I had to let go. And if you don't let go, you're hanging on too tight. And what happens in life when you're hanging on too tight? Every little bump in the road is transferred to you, so you need to relax, you need to let go. And in doing that, you come to the very, very stark realization that everything's fine. You're not in control. You don't need to be. And my fear went from being this crushing thing, this anxiety that was keeping me up at night. Should I leave the country? Should I... Well, I'll just leave it at that for now because the thought police are out. But like many of you, I was thinking to myself, what am I going to do? What am I going to do? Looking for it outside of me. And then through the magic of psychedelics, it brought me back to myself. And I realized that this whole thing is a divine expression of love, even the darkness. And it was around that campfire, tripping balls, that I realized that you can't feel the warmth of the fire without the cold at your back. You need to have the duality. You need to have it all. And in seeing all of this chaos, it became clear that the chaos isn't there to define who you are. It's to define what you are not, so that you can separate yourself from it. And if it hurts you, it's because you're spending too much time staring at it, thinking that it is you. It's not you. It's there to show you what you are not. And though it may not be pretty, and though it may be painful, the awareness of that is powerful, and it does reduce the pain. All of the struggle we're seeing in the world right now, it's not our struggle. Even if you feel like you're right in the center of it, it's not your struggle. It is there to show you what you are not. You are not it. You are observing it. You are outside of it. And so, what are you? What are you? What does that leave? What are you? If you are not the chaos, if you are not the darkness, the pain, the hatred, the anger, what are you? Hopefully you're the light. Or hopefully you're seeing some light. Hopefully it's trying to shine through you. And out there, I was reminded by the fact that every person is a reflection of one another, of the great whole, whatever you choose to call it. And that our job is just to shine brightly, to share in love. And I've spent the last 8 months, 2 years, entire life pushing against the system, trying to rage against the machine, reposting all the darkness, sending it to my friends and family. Look, here's the conspiracy, here's the problem, here's the darkness, here's the issue. Can't you see? I've been approaching it all wrong. The world transforms when you transform, and I was looking at the darkness, freaking out, saying, there's so much darkness. Instead of saying, what am I? What am I? What do I do? What do I produce? What do I make? What is in my heart? I've been a consumer of all these things, and that is the great trick. That's what social media is trying to get you to do. It's consume, 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 because when you're consuming, you're not producing. When you're taking in, you're not putting out. And one of the great lies that's being sold to all of you is to consume. Salvation will come from the other, not from you. It'll be the big T with some QAnon magical trust the plan. Or it'll be Biden losing his mind, or maybe you don't believe in either system, or maybe you think it's the next guy, or it's all outside of you. Remember that all of that is there so that you can know yourself. What are you? What are you producing? What are you standing up for? And in this mission, I've come to realize that I don't need to wake up everybody, just somebody, anybody, even if it's just myself, this message to myself so that I may find it in another life, in another body, in another time, an echo of truth, a statement to raise your state, to tune up. That's what this broadcast is. That's what my mantra is. That's what my life will be. And I'm going to stop hiding. I'm going to start posting it. And I'm going to start talking about the things that have helped me to stay in higher states, like the consumption of psychedelics, which I would highly recommend to every single one of you. You all need to do more drugs, but the right kind of drugs. Not the one made by people who are interested in profits and keeping you sick so they can keep sucking the money from you and keeping the industry going. No, I'm talking about the ones that are provided from the earth naturally. I'm talking about a little mushroom, I'm talking about a cacti, I'm talking about a root and a leaf, and these amazing psychedelic substances that will bring you back to self, to center, back into who you actually are. And that lies on the other side of your fear. And that's the friction. Some people watching this video are saying, no, how can he recommend psychedelics to people across the board? It's dangerous. There's psychosis. What if you lose your mind? Fear. It's all fear. That's all it is. And we all have a lot more to learn about fear. But in moving past your fear, by doing something that conjures fear and overcoming it, like climbing a mountain, like going on a trip, right? Like standing on a stage, like writing a love letter to somebody, like telling somebody how much they mean to you. All these things, they involve a certain amount of risk. What are they going to say? What are they going to think? What's going to happen to me? What about my reputation? What is your truth? What is inside of you? What's inside of me is I've gone too long hiding what I'm doing in the background. And times are dire. Times are now, the ever-present now, and I need to share my gift now and what I've experienced now. And I can promise you to every single one of you that if you do the right psychedelic substance in the right setting with the right intention and you have some education around it, you will get an experience that is the truth. Everybody right now is looking for truth. What's the truth? What's the truth? Watching videos, watching the news, listening to people. What's the truth? Is this dangerous? Is this bad? Is it a pandemic? What's the truth? The late Terence McKenna said that all that stuff is codswallop. You need to trust firsthand experience, personal experience, because outside of that, you don't know what's going on. At one point, doctors were promoting cigarettes. At one point, the government was promoting people to drink poison unfettered as much as they want whenever they want. Oh wait, that time is now. It's called alcohol, right? Everything is a little crazy. Everything is a little topsy-turvy. It's not you. It's there so that you can know who you are by observing it. You could not know the warmth of the fire without the cold at your back. It is impossible. The whole spectrum needs to be there. The chaos up against the beauty, the disharmony against the harmony. And you get to ride the waves. You get to decide where you want to dwell. But one thing is for sure is that there is the least amount of fear and the most amount of love right up at the top. So if you want to stay in the pits and be angry and listen to terrible screechy music and suck back chicken McNuggets and Coca-Cola, and you want to think that that's where all the love is and that's where all the greatness is, probably a little bit asleep. That's okay. We all are. I am currently, as I'm filming this video, a little bit asleep about something. So don't be upset. But as you raise your awareness, your consciousness, your frequency, your state, whatever you want to call it, when you tune up, this could be as simple as healthy eating, working out, if you want to take it to the next level, meditation, right? There's all these different things you can do to raise your state. And we'll get to that. You're not going to be eating that factory farm chicken McNugget. You're not going to be drinking that Coca-Cola, right? You're probably not going to be trusting Big Pharma as easily given their track record and with the realization that the body heals itself. Nature is pretty phenomenal. What you need to do is ensure that you have fertile soil. But with these psychedelics, you will experience a true experience. When you take psychedelics, you will experience the truth. Now, the truth might be confusing. You might not understand it. It might come in visions. It might come in ways. You might be a little bit afraid. But what is happening to you is a first-hand experience, and it is true. And going into that space, bungee jumping into the unknown with the right intention, knowing that you're going to be perfectly fine, which you will strip away everything that is not you. And the moment you come back into society, the plaque will start building up, surrounded by messages of fear, and you will need to bolster yourself so that you stay tuned up. But we have a secret. We have a little method. We have this substance that, of course, they made illegal. Of course, they want to throw people in little steel cages like animals so they can't live their lives because they're altering their minds. It represents a danger to a system that doesn't want you to think that it's time to change. So that's why psychedelics are illegal. That's why alcohol is not illegal. One keeps you low vibe. The other one can increase your vibration, can raise your state. If you feel uncomfortable with those words, psychedelics can help strip away the fear. And in my experience, there are no bad trips. There are just trips. And sometimes they will feel bad, but sometimes you need to go through that. You need to go through the trauma to realize that it has no power. You need to go into the darkness to realize nothing is there. You are the light. The darkness is there so that you can know that you are the light. And all the turmoil that's happening out there right now, in some way, it's perfect. It's perfect because it's asking you, what are you going to do? What are you going to do? You're no longer a child. You're no longer unaware. And now that you're here looking at it all, asking yourself, what am I going to do? It's hard to not think it's a beautiful, beautiful time to be alive. And I ask myself, what would it take for me to show who I really am, unafraid of what others think? What would it really take? It would take some crazy world events where I saw darkness swirling around and corruption and conspiracy and all of it. And I said, what is going on? This is not the truth. This is not real. And then that little spark inside of me would say, well, then what is true? What is real? How do you think it should be? Do you really think there should be more love? Can you be more love? Do you really think that there should be more connection and more honesty? You need to be the connection and you need to be the honesty. You need to share that and echoing it. And I'm certainly not going to be doing that by pretending that I'm not using illegal mind-altering substances to raise my consciousness. The times are tough these days, as they've always been. There is help. Part of that help is connection, community. The other part of the help is you helping yourself, and that's the self-work. And that's why we've created this company. And it's not just a product. It's not just a thing. It's a mantra. It's an idea. It is raise your state. And this is me and my art and my little gift to you. And most importantly, a gift to myself so that I can solidify everything I've learned in these sacred spaces out in the forest, out of my mind, tapped in, tuned into my heart. It's so that I can add some structure, some symmetry to that, so I can capture that, so that I can remind myself perpetually as society tries to pull me back into what it is, and that is not what I am. I am light, and I am love, and I am here. And I thank you for being here. And this whole experience is beckoning us to become our true selves. Don't get lost in the anxiety. Don't get lost in the fear. When you hear these things, don't think that it's somebody ridiculing you. Think of it as the universe giving you a wink. Think of it as a little feather tapping at your shoulder saying, hey, there's something here. Because that's how it works. And if you go around listening to everybody else as if it's the divine trying to give you something, even if it's not what you are, but it's what you aren't, remember, there is learning to be had in everything, in all of this. I've detached myself since this psychedelic experience from wondering, what about the next corruption? What about this? Who is in charge? Who's getting served? Where's the justice? And instead, I'm seeing all that is not me, and I'm saying, what am I going to build? What seed am I going to plant? That's why I'm filming this video, for you. And sure, this isn't going to save the world, but I am not going to stop, and I'm going to refine my message, and I'm going to shout it from the rooftops, and I'm going to give it away to you. The message is clear. The mantra is clear. Raise your state. You have an obligation. We all do. If we want to feel better, we are in charge of raising our state. Now, if you follow along, we'll be describing and providing and linking together methods and ways for you to tune up. This one is me talking about psychedelics. And I'd love you to leave a comment below. Have you tried them? Are you interested in trying them? What are you afraid of? And whatever you want to say. engage in the space. We are at a time now where we can't stay silent about these things, and it is beautiful to see heroes standing up, but let's not let it just be them. It needs to be us. It needs to be you. We need to be the ones adding structure and symmetry to this chaotic world so that we can remember the truth, so that we can become unshakable when even more shit hits the fan, because Lord knows it will. We don't know what's coming next. You don't know what's coming next. And that can be a thought that drives people crazy. It can rack you with anxiety. You don't know what's coming next. It could be worse. They could be releasing this Marlboro virus and everybody getting blood clots they could be claiming is from this new virus when in fact it's actually from this and that. And oh my God, it could be terrible. Your mind could go down crazy rabbit holes. You're not in control of that. You're in control of yourself. And what you can do is you can bolster. You can set up these foundational pillars in your life so that no matter what happens, you're unshakable. You don't need to leave to Mexico. You don't need to buy a bunch of guns and ammo. You don't need to do all these things because you know the truth. And I promise you that if you take it seriously and you spend enough time bungee jumping into the unknown of psychedelics and you do it with responsibility and intention, I can promise you, you will make a connection with the magic that is behind the curtain of this world, and it will be the most important thing that's ever happened to you in your entire life. And no textbook is going to be able to explain it. No theory is going to be able to explain it. You just need to experience it for yourself. I'm not going to be the one to tell you that there is a God. I know it's true for me, but I can promise you if you go into that space and you're begging for a connection, that strong intention of what you're looking for, you will find something. You will find something. And I'm getting shivers right now thinking about it because, like I said, it's the most beautiful thing. And once you get that first glimpse, that first interaction, it'll call you again and again and again, and eventually you'll get to a point where no matter what they say, no matter how much nihilism they thrust upon us, no matter how much they try to convince us that life is just the nuts and bolts of what you see, then we all came out of some muck out of the ocean and nothing really matters in the middle of nowhere, you're going to know the truth. And the truth is so beautiful, so powerful, so loving, so light. So again, thank you for being here. Man, personally, it's been a wild journey because I've gone through the arc of fear and almost blew my life up because of it. And thank God that I didn't do that. And I instead took a bunch of drugs out in the forest, the right kind of drugs. It was the best thing I could have done. I think it cost me like $20 worth of product, right? Like it's unbelievable what you can have. And it's not going to melt holes in your brain. You're not going to lose your mind and never come back. It's certainly not going to kill you, although alcohol can do all of those things, and it does every day. So step back from the fear of the unknown, take a dive into something miraculous, and do it with intention. Do it with an open heart. And when you start to feel that friction or that darkness, you have to let go and be ready to die. And in that fearlessness, what will come to you, it'll be the spark that lights the fire for the rest of your life. And then nobody will ever have to try to convince you that there is magic to all of this. You'll just know. So thank you very much for being here. It's been a minute since I've made a video. I'm going to get back into it and start slanging them out. For me, for you, the message is going to be simple: raise your state. And I'm going to be talking about modalities about how to do that. Things like psychedelics, things like spirituality, things like nutrition, play, music, the right frequency, all these different things, because you don't need to run anywhere right now. You need to go in and you need to strengthen and you need to bolster and you need to remember the truth. And if you can do that, we're going to be just fine no matter what happens. So thank you very much. It's been a pleasure. Broadcast out. Peace.